All right, so it's looking like this Russian-Ukrainian war could come to an end with a settlement agreed upon by the Russians and the Ukrainians. The Russian government has said that they will immediately stop military action against Ukraine if Ukraine agrees to some demands. And so one of those demands would be to fully recognize Russian annexation, conquest, full control over Crimea, which is an area the Russians took in 2014. Okay, so, the Russians have already had that for 8 years. I would doubt that the Ukrainians are getting that back. So that would not be, an earth-shattering agreement. Second point of the terms of potential Ukrainian surrender would be recognition of the Luhansk and Donetsk republics as independent states. And of course, they would be under Russian influence and hegemony, and their leaders would, be in agreement with Russian foreign policy and such. And so that is something that was probably going to happen based on Putin's original recognition. If you remember, 2 days before Putin invaded the entirety of Ukraine, he just sent troops into Luhansk and Donetsk and recognized them as independent republics. So that's like the small conquest scenario in which Russia only gets Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk, which are the far eastern regions, and then Crimea being in the south on the Black Sea there. And then Ukraine gets to keep the rest of Ukraine. And so that's not a bad option for, cessation of hostilities. That is what I thought would happen. I did not anticipate Putin invading the entirety of Ukraine openly, as he has done. And so that was definitely surprising to me. So if at the beginning of this I had to guess, I would have guessed that he would have control, or Russia would have control over Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea. Basically, they're taking a slice. They're taking a slice of Ukraine. They took a slice in 2014. They're taking another slice now, and they'll take another slice in the future. They'll take another slice again. They'll take another slice again. Remember, that's how Russia conquered Poland in the 18th century, the 1700s. We talked about that originally in one of the first videos here on the Ukraine war. So, this would not be a bad deal for Ukraine, considering they're not getting Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea back anyways. Now, I doubt that Russia would actually cease hostilities, or I don't know, it's kind of tough to say. Going into this, I would have said, yeah, absolutely, Russia just takes those regions and they cease hostilities and that's it. But after the fighting has been going on so bloodily for, a week or two, Russia has issued demands saying Ukraine must fully demilitarize. And so I would guess that they still have those demands, but they're not stating them publicly through social media and through press releases, because that would make the Russians look bad. That would make the Ukraine struggle look righteous. And if the Russians appeared more reasonable, well, that would make the Ukrainians appear less reasonable. Oh, yes, and then the third thing the Russians said they would need was a constitutional amendment to the Ukrainian constitution, saying that they would never join any sort of bloc of countries such as the EU or NATO. So here's a potential path for peace. If this is a real offer, the Ukrainians should, of course, take it. They should trade Crimea, Donetsk, and Luhansk for their lives, because the West is not going to invade Ukraine to kick out the Russians. The Russians, regardless of whether they will eventually have complete control over Ukraine or not, are going to kill a lot of Ukrainians. And those regions, Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea, are not coming back to Ukraine. However, I would be wary of trusting the Russians, because they could, of course, be disingenuous about this and really be meaning that Ukraine must demilitarize, give up its entire military. And of course, the slippery slope of giving up parts of your country, because like I said, Russia's just going to do this again in a few years to take more of Ukraine. And so how to prevent that, that would have to be a topic for another time.